99% of internet is deep web that you have never explored. That was the line which again reminded me of dark web. I tried to access it a year ago before this, but was unable to set up proper connections with Tor in Kali Linux. But this time I had to get in. I successfully did the Tor browser setup thing, dual booted my PC with Kali Linux, so it will take me a few seconds to wipe the entire OS and come back to Windows, and if at all anything goes wrong, I will be safe. I started accessing some of the sites which had dark web links. I then got to the dark web wiki and one other site which had more collections of links than the wiki. I started clicking randomly, just to explore, and landed up on sites which deal with drugs and many things which I couldn't understand. Therefore, I took a screenshot. But when I went further by clicking randomly on dark web links, I found a link with description, not for people who have problem with blood and gore. I thought it to be just another random warning we see on every video game like Call of Duty. But I was wrong. I got to see which was beyond my imagination, the dark side of humanity. There were videos of people's suicide, murder, rapes, etc. There was a thread where a girl was confessing about how she will commit suicide. There were many comments, but to my surprise, only one comment was, "Don't do it please, there is hope." All of the others were suggesting her how to do it and how to leave the video for them to enjoy. There were videos of animals. All sorts of things you can and cannot imagine with animals were there. I randomly clicked on a video, and after 2 to 3 seconds I realized that it was of a mouse being tortured to death by grinding with something, immediately closed it. The comments again blew up my mind. People were encouraging it. I still remember one comment. "That shit deserves much brutal death." I was totally shattered at this moment. Even a dead dog on a roadside would left me in a grief of losing a soul, and here the deep web was full of that. I don't know why, but I clicked on another video link. It was of a woman in a room whose whole face was ripped off. There was no skin on her face, and she was still alive with 4 people standing nearby. I immediately closed the video and left the site. While writing this, that face is still floating in front of my eyes. I wasn't able to sleep that night. I should have never clicked on that link. It was so bizarre. My mind and soul were totally shattered by that view. I had no courage to see comments at that time. I then closed Tor and shut down my system and went to my bed, but wasn't able to fall asleep. What's more horrifying is that I only accessed 0.01% of that 99% internet and was left shattered. I never want to access that 99% of internet again. It happened last year. I was damn curious about what the actual deal was about this dark or deep web stuff. So I went to YouTube and watched some tutorials on how to access dark web using Android, and I planned to surf the dark web using my phone. I didn't know what I was up to, but I was way too curious and excited. Everything was set. I covered my phone camera with tape, went to my room and locked it. I then opened the Wikipedia site for dark web links. Everything was cool when I was visiting those normal happy chat sites. I didn't text it, I just observed. Over the time, I gained some confidence and opened this creepy anonymous confession site. I swear to you guys, my faith over humanity vanished away after reading some of the confessions out there. Some people commented how they killed their wife, mom, daughter, and neighbors. Some commented how they tried to kill someone and failed and how they regret it. Some other commented how they love when they see people suffer. Some even more graphic things were written over there, which I honestly don't want to write here as I'll definitely get blocked after writing them here. There were some more mentally ill creepy people there, commenting how stupid people are for loving someone, and for not doing bad stuffs to them. I had enough of all this, but still I wasn't done. I wanted to see as much as I could. So yeah, I went and opened those pedophilic community chat links. It took a while to load the site. While it was loading, I thought maybe it was all fake and maybe this site is also fake, but then, boom. I saw this site full of texts from sick people. I can say they were ill or maybe they're not human. I don't want to explain any of the things from there over here, as again, I may get blocked. The next thing I did was going to that one site, of which I don't remember the name, but I do remember that it was selling things made out of human skin and some organs. They were damn costly. It made me almost puke out everything inside my stomach. So, I closed that site. I then went to those sites selling guns, drugs, and many other illegal stuffs. It was boring for me, so I decided to stop and close every freaking thing and delete all the browsing app and sleep listening to my favorite songs. But I wasn't able to sleep for 2 days straight. Everything felt horrible and ugly. Luckily, after 4 to 5 days, things went normal. It would have been great if it was the end of the story. But that day, I was using WhatsApp texting my friends, and then I got this notification that someone texted me on WhatsApp. It was an unknown international number. I opened the text not thinking much and saw this creepy text, "Why are you ignoring me?" I got a little tensed as I don't have any friend from abroad. Thinking it might be a scam, I ignored it, and the next day, I got another text from that same number saying, "You can't ignore me, I'm still here. You can't run away." I was now pretty sure that things got out of hand, and I almost believed that I was going to die. I quickly blocked the number and told my close friends about what happened and about dark web. One of my friends said that the same thing also happened with him last year, after he surfed dark web. He said that he blocked the numbers, but soon started getting creepy deadly calls. So he changed his number and life was good again. So then, here I was. A messed up teenager. I was out of breath and afraid to tell about this to my mom or dad. But I tried to control it by myself. The next day, I got another text on WhatsApp from another unknown international number saying, "Why did you block me? You can't do anything now." After a week, I came back and everything was cool, but the next week I got another text from another unknown international number on WhatsApp. I was not afraid enough and I decided to not open the chat and blocked it quickly, reporting spam. After that, nothing happened, and I promised and swore to God and myself that I was never ever going back there by any means. Even if someone offers me money for surfing the dark web, nah, I am not going there ever again. This was back before Google. Web pages were, for the most part, still very basic HTML with JavaScript. Hardly anyone used CSS. Only discussion boards and some banking sites had anything that could be regarded as mature front-end back-end combinations. So, this one is an early and real deep web story, not just one about illicit activities online. I was browsing random blogs, GeoCities sites, and the like, just going from link to link. Eventually I came upon an odd page. It appeared to be random thoughts from different people, but for the time, it was very well designed. The messages seemed to be cryptic in nature, like several people trying to pass secret notes. I started through the source, and hidden in the comments of a JavaScript were various IP addresses. I gathered all of the IPs in a text file and began enumerating. Some were routers with banner messages I could telnet to, almost all at universities. The default Cisco credentials from back in the day worked on most of them, but I didn't poke around. A few of the IPs were web servers with little to nothing on them, mostly Apache on Linux or some BSD, and at least one IIS server I can recall. I finally came upon a web server with a huge directory of HTML files and TIFF images, with a few smaller subdirectories containing the same. Name server lookup returned no reverse records for the IP. A visual route traced it as far as Colorado. The HTML files appeared to be records a psychologist or similar mental health professional would keep. The images were of faxes, apparently of both military and medical nature. As I browsed from a subdirectory back to the parent, at the top of was a new HTML file named something like hellothere.html. The timestamp was from right that minute. I opened it, and in plain text was the message, "We see you." No quotes, all lowercase. About 15 seconds later, the server dropped. That time, it was a quite weird and scary experience for me, and I was extremely worried about the whole situation. I first heard about the deep web back in grade 10, when this really strange druggy kid in my grade was going on about it. We sat together in English and had a new teacher that wasn't quite good and didn't really know how to control the class. That's why, the last 20 minutes or so, she would just let us do whatever. Everyone around this kid's desk, let's call him Matt, would crowd around his computer and watch him monkey around on Silk Road and weird other sites he found. No CP or anything, but drugs and hitmen and weird shit in general. I was kind of sketched out by it, so I tried to avoid looking at it all, but I listened and it was pretty funky. Eventually, Matt decided to order drugs from some site. This was high school, so we all lived at home. He figured he'd order DMT to his cottage, go up for a weekend and pick it up to hide in his closet. So, he typed in his address to some guy, worked out the details and waited. He then went up to his cottage the next weekend and we all waited for his return for the stories. Matt got back and we all ran up to him to ask if it worked. He said it didn't and he was really pissed since he had already paid the guy. He complained to whoever was selling him the drugs and the guy was really understanding and said he will send an even bigger package to his cottage. Matt went up the next weekend. Still nothing. The guy was very apologetic and said he'd send one more. Well, still nothing. Matt gave up and figured it was just a guy trying to make a quick buck. He gave up on the deep web and that was that. Months later, he went up to his cottage with his family and had a big dinner party with the whole complex of cottages. He was schmoozing around and overheard those elderly people talking about going to the cops. He asked why and they told him that they had been consistently getting shipments of drugs every week. Matt had typed in the wrong address and the guy he was talking to had been sending more and more to the wrong people each week because he felt so bad. He was so sketched out that he quit everything. Now, he is doing quite well for himself. Really proud of him. If you thought the Nazis were the last people to conduct human experiments during the Holocaust, you couldn't be wrong. This Onion website inside the dark web is an index which provides documents for performing your own experiments in concentration camps. The website claims that, apparently, they have multiple warehouses where they perform such despicable experiments on humans. They conduct experiments such as starvation, pain tolerance, infectious diseases and organ effects, radiation exposure, and even sterilization. It is stated that the people chosen for this range of experiments are usually homeless people that are unregistered citizens. Laboratory experiments are done at hospitals where they take the samples and send them under other real patients' names. The results are then carefully dispersed so as not to arouse suspicion. The bodies of the dead are dissected and then disposed in dumpsters of meat shops where their bodies will not be found. I think their slogan says it all. Not all humans are equal, for some of them were born superior to others. This wasn't the first time I was visiting the dark web. I was using a website, which I am not naming for many reasons. The website contained many information about people who went missing every year from America and some other countries. This website was new to me as it was probably at level 5 on deep web, if you were to count the levels of deepness on dark web. As I was exploring and digging deeper, I came across some links which took me deeper and deeper. The links were really hard to find in the website as the URL was not blue, to let you know that it is a URL and will take you to another site. I was reading this paragraph where the font was much smaller than the other paragraphs and was also surrounded with pictures. It grabbed my attention, and after a few minutes of searching, I found the link. I copied and pasted the link into a new page. It came up with a login page. It was weird as all it said was, after every 5 words, you shall get your pass. I was confused, but really wanted to know what it was. So, after a while, I realized, it was talking about the paragraph with smaller text than the rest of the paragraphs. Long story short, I got the password. After I got access, it was taking ages to load, but it had this sign at the top, login successful, so I knew I was going to see something I probably didn't want to see. Then it happened. It came up in categories, stating one country after the other except for the UK. I clicked on the US, and I really do wish I never clicked on it. It came up with those names, who were just disappeared but were captured and killed, those kids in America who went missing and had been killed, and I had access to thousands of videos. The parents of those kids didn't know what happened to their kids who went missing and disappeared to nowhere, and I had the videos of their execution in front of me. I quickly clicked back and did not close it, as I am not that stupid to let it carry on. I also saw some categories named Great Candies and Extreme CP, and didn't really bother clicking on any of them. I then reported this site to a group, as the government couldn't do that much and I probably would have been in trouble for reporting such thing to the authority. The group did something to the site and after a few hours, it went down.